Donald Trump not knowing anything about the stock market doesn't surprise me. He doesn't know a lot about anything. He's a talker. That's all he is. That's all he ever was a talker. Now that the Dow has plowed to his worst it's been in almost 10 years, Donald Trump, on a shaky grasp of how even the stock market even works, when he spoke Wednesday about the big slump. In the old days, he said, when good news was reported, the stock market would go up. Today, when good news is reported, the stock market goes down. Big mistake. And we have so much good, great news about our economy. Here's the fact. This is the simplistic way to show you how the misunderstanding of the relationship of the economic and indicators of the market works. It's not true that a positive development for the economy necessarily means a rise in stock. The opposite can happen depending on what sort of chain reaction is anticipated by the usual investors. Like if there's a crisis or something, normally people react in a panic to where things go down. The market dive was prompted in part by the news that wages are rising at the best pace in 8 years after a prolonged bout of sluggish gains. Higher wages can lead to more inflation. The Fed could try to restrain inflation by raising interest rates, which would hurt the corporate profits and limit the pace of economic growth. That's how good news for workers can come with a downside for investors. Likewise, bad news can make the market rise. In 2016, for example, you remember the Labor Department, they had reported that the employers, like they added like 38,000 new jobs for the month or something. And then after slipping that day, the Dow Jones Industrial Average climbed the very next trading day. You know, and see, job reports can cause stocks to dip briefly, then surge the next following days on the belief that the Fed would hold off on rate increases. So if they believe the Fed is going to hold off on these things, you'll see the Dow go through the roof. But when Trump broke his silence on the plunge, about the Dow Jones Industrial Average suffering its biggest one-day drop ever, partly recovering Tuesday. Before that, he had took credit for the market gains, but they start screaming about how they created 200,000 jobs and the wages grew at the fastest pace in 8 years. But they don't believe the Fed is going to do anything but raise interest rates. And that's bad for investors. That is not a very good thing for investors. So that's why it's plowing. And on that note, I hope everyone understands. And I'm out. Don't forget to subscribe. It's your boy Carcino, in case you didn't know.